Hello, my name is Tara Lise, and this is my presentation of genres and the hero for my pop culture in media class. I chose to do my presentation on the Norse god of thunder, the legendary warrior born. He is the son of Asgard, the mighty Thor. In Norse mythology, Thor is the thunder god. He is the son of Odin, the chief god, and Fjórin, the goddess of earth. He carries a magic hammer, Mjolnir. Thor was the mightiest god and a protector against the forest giants. Thor is the defender of the earth and fights for all forms of villainy. Thor seeks for injustice and actually tries to make not just this world, but any world he comes across a better world. Thor doesn't even have to do what he does. It's all up to him, and he goes above and beyond what any other god is willing to do for anybody. Thor will stop a planetary threat on Earth and go to Asgard and stop whatever end days event that has happened. In Marvel's comic book, Thor's father Odin, ruler of the Asgards and the demigod himself, strips Thor of his powers and memories and sends him to Earth to learn humility. Odin turns Thor into a lame human medical student who walks with a cane but becomes a star surgeon named Dr. Donald Blake. Sometime later, while hiking along a rocky path, Dr. Blake cannot keep up with his comrades. He loses his footing, falls into a cave, and drops his cane. While trying to escape, he slams his cane against the wall and poof! Then discovers his secret. His cane becomes his hammer and Blake becomes the mighty Thor. I found this interesting article by Sharon Packer, MD, about the hidden meaning in the Thor comics. She asks, is this Marvel's way of saying that supercilious surgeons like Dr. Blake should be more down to earth? Does Marvel remind prideful physicians that they too can lose faith or limb and be limited by the same illnesses that affect mere mortals, such as their patients? Alternatively, this story might express admiration for MDs. It can console patients, assuring them that even superficially imperfect practitioners possess godlike healing powers. It implies that doctors in general, even obviously disabled doctors, are closet deities. Their scalpels are as powerful as Thor's hammer. Like divinities, doctors can bestow life, or other fallen angels, they can hasten death. In the movie, the Asgardians negotiate a peace with the forest giants, a truth which Thor, son of Asgardian King Odin, recklessly and arrogantly breaks centuries later. As punishment for his arrogance and disobedience, Odin strips Thor of his power and sends him hurtling along with his fabled hammer Mjolnir to Earth. In the comics, Thor is not only stripped of his power, but his memories as well, and is transformed into the mortal identity of Dr. Donald Blake, who serves as his alter ego throughout the early years of the series. Donald Blake is not a part of the movie's take on Thor, although some sly references to him can be found here and there for the attentive. And maybe he might show up in the second movie. Next, scientist Jane Foster and her colleagues discover Thor on Earth. The Jane Foster of the film does not bear much resemblance to the Jane Foster of the comics, aside from being Thor's love interest. Jane was introduced in Journey into Mystery 84 as the nurse hopelessly smitten with Dr. Donald Blake. Thor eventually returned her affections, but the relationship didn't last in the film. In the film, she also serves as an ally for Thor, who is lost in a world strange to him. Is there a message in the movie? Sure, both in the movie and the comics. Thor has a great deal of growing up to do. He is arrogant, convinced that his way is the only right one. Odin calls him a vain, greedy, cruel boy, and tells him, "You're nothing but a boy trying to prove himself a man." Thor disregards his father's rule, believing that a show of strength is the only way to deal with enemies. With the help of Jane and his new friends on Earth, Thor finds that fighting is not the only way to solve problems, and that love can change people for the better. Jane also inspires him to wield a weapon more powerful than his hammer, self-sacrifice. I think the author Emily Russell said it best in her article, Hammer to Fall. Like the god of thunder himself, we can live fuller lives if we explore different perspectives to our own and take in the bigger picture. What we could find could change our lives forever. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you and see you.